Live.
Hey, whoa.
I think we're live on
Whoa.
YouTube, definitely on Rumble. I'm waiting on Rockfin because I don't know what happened last night with Rockfin, but the stream got a little messed up. It worked, but I couldn't see the comments or anything, and then it like replaced one of the other videos, which I had to go re-upload. It appears to be working right now, so hopefully it continues to do so. Focus back on FANI. Jim Acosta's Stormy Fantasy, and Jeffrey Toobin did what else? This is the Propaganda Report. I'm Brad Binkley, joined by Ian Covell here. Ian, good to see you. I like you have a background color change. I like the variety.
It's great to see you. Well, you know, I'm color fluid, so.
Really?
Yeah, I'm color fluid.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I like to try new things out from time to time. Colors, music.
Yeah, I mean, it's brave to be able to admit something like that, especially in the world today when you face such persecution.
I spent $50 on this damn thing. I'm going to see if it has as many as there are in the spectrum.
I have to say, if I were the one selling you this product, I would kind of be like, all right, LGBT or whatever. I don't know what they call the people who are color fluid. I don't know where you fall in the
LGBT hue.
Hue. Oh, yeah. Okay. LGBT hue. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked earlier this week, and I did a whole show on this earlier this week as well about how Nathan Wade's interview with the also Black Illuminati member at ABC News.
I saw a little bit.
It was
today. I was watching a little bit of it.
It's the most ridiculous interview. It was a sign telling us that the focus is going to shift back to Fulton County, which they had shifted away for a little while. And right on cue, we have 3 stories today. Yeah. I don't know that I'd call them breaking news. These are all things that were very predictable that I've talked about, because if you go through the legal documents and stuff, you can kind of anticipate what's going to happen. But today, they're all over some of the headlines along with some other news. But one of the stories is that U.S. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, he's now demanding that former special prosecutor, super special to FANI, Nathan Wade, come testify about his relationship with the district attorney, who they've already requested to come do this, but he just ignored everything. They want him to come in and show all the financial records, which he doesn't keep any financial records.
Right, cash, because we don't
like Grey Goose.
Right. Because we don't understand it, because in white neighborhoods we don't keep a lot of cash.
We don't keep $15,000 in cash like our communist fathers.
Apparently this is very common. It's funny, I never ever, any of my black friends growing up never had $15,000 lying around. Which is like, you're not black. That's what Joe Biden would say. But so they already asked him to do this, and he's not going to do it, because all you have to go do is look at his deposition. And I talked about this a lot in the Cobb County case where he was hired to cover up how the inmates died. And in that case, they asked him, because he worked for like 5 or 6 months. I say worked, and by worked, I mean he was giving it to Sonia Allen, who makes, Fannie Willis look like she's not the world's greatest Baconator eater. Like, she's second in place the way this other woman looks, but this guy's he's a paid prostitute is what he is. And during the testimony for a deposition, because they were sued by the family's victims, they asked him, where are all the, because lawyers document their hours, especially when they're getting paid $500 an hour, like he was, to do nothing, to bang this woman. Did he get $6,000 a day? Did he bill $6,000 a day for one of these things?
I don't know what his billing was for all the FANI stuff. I know he got paid over $700,000 for that. I know in this other case, it was like an absurd amount of hours over 6 or 7 months for $500. I mean, just ridiculous money, which I guess if you're going to go hogging, you might as well get paid well.
Hell yeah.
And he definitely got paid well. But
you got to make it work, dude.
Yeah, they said to him,
how much would it take for you to, FANI?
Look, I can't be bought. I can't be bought in that kind of way, dude. That's why I'm, it's not profitable to really tell or try to tell the truth anyway. Yeah, I've learned that, because most people, they tell the truth sometimes when it appeals to their audience, and they veer away from it when it doesn't. And that's how we have all of these silos and propaganda. And when you don't do that, it's not always as profitable, because in marketing, they're never like, tell your audience what they don't want to hear. You know, sometimes the truth is
well,
painful.
you got to change some things up then.
So you start grifting a little more.
You got to start grifting a lot more.
You're saying, yeah.
Yeah, look at this spaceship you're flying around in, man. You need
I
an
could
updated
come
one.
get a ride in the spaceship, you know, for a mug or something. I don't know. But what he told the attorney during the deposition was they asked him, where are your records? And they said, no records exist. And he said, records exist. And they said, but where are they? And he tapped his head. You can read the transcript. They're in my head. I kept all of the records of just like the records of the Fani Willis case. So they're not going to get any records.
Neuralink, baby. Neuralink.
Right. Yeah, it's Neuralinked. It's on the Elon Musk database.
Yeah.
So they said that he is in violation, like that he hasn't responded to anything they said. And, you know, I don't think that, I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything to him. I know they put some of Trump's people in prison for a little while for not going along with congressional, what's it called? My brain's not working right today.
Congressional subpoena?
Affidavit subpoena. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You know that I can tell you are color fluid, just like you said. So that's the one story that was all over the news, which again, it's not really a news story. It's just we're reiterating that we need you to come testify, and it's all over the news today. Then the second one is that the Georgia Court of Appeals has decided that it will review Judge McAfee's decision that allowed Fani Willis to stay on Trump's Fulton County case. Do what?
How many stars do you think they're going to give it when they review it?
How many? I don't know, 4 or 5? 4 or 5 stars?
4 or 5 stars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't a surprise either. They're just reporting on it now. And you have all these people, like there's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he's based in Georgia. And he goes on Megyn Kelly's show all the time. And what he usually does there is he tells people a bunch of things that are wrong. And Megyn Kelly goes, whoa! And then Megyn Kelly and he's an expert on that. And I just found out recently that this douchebag is on WSB doing a show. This guy has literally been wrong about almost every single thing he said about Fani Willis. And he's a lawyer based in Georgia, so he gets his credibility for all this. And now here he is in the headline, and what Megyn Kelly was expressing today was, this is bombshell news. Holy cow, unbelievable. They accepted the appeal, and now the case is derailed. I said they would accept this appeal when it was first put out by the judge that it could be appealed. All you have to do is read this stuff, and these grifters go on here and try to sensationalize the most obvious things that are already in the public database. You can go read this stuff. Now, is this going to derail everything? No, it's not, according to what Judge McAfee said. Judge McAfee wrote, when he allowed them to submit this appeal, that this is going to slow down none of the trial. We are going to, in parallel, continue to do all the pretrial motions and continue to do everything. So Trump is going to have to submit a stay to the court, which Judge McAfee, I believe, is going to have the final say over, which is probably going to be a no, if he wants to stop this because of the appeal. And it's wild to me because this was all out there. Like, I talked about it on a show, and you have all these people going on these right-wing networks this time and acting like this is brand new news and ignoring the fact that the judge actually said, we're going to let you appeal, but on the condition that everything else continues to move forward rapidly and that they will expedite a decision at the Court of Appeals. Now, does this mean that it will definitely get to trial before the election? No, of course it doesn't. But it also doesn't mean the case is over, like everyone says, because as I just pointed out there was another headline, I don't have it up here, that pointed out with the judge. I found one article that actually said, yes, but the judge said this, so it's not going to slow things down. They originally wanted the case to happen in August or September, and it's May right now. They can run this thing through, and I think they will. I think they'll get it to trial because I think this is the big final showdown. If this were a movie, this is the most entertaining thing that would happen, I think, in that movie. But if they don't, if it doesn't go to trial, this is another possibility for the movie. What will happen next? Will the public step back and go, oh my gosh, they wasted all of these taxpayer dollars and all of our time and all of our attention, influence many votes on what turned out to be nothing but frivolous cases? clearly this was political persecution. Will there be this widespread, sudden awakening, or will the story be that Trump rigged the judicial system?
The whole system. See, you don't understand, Brad. This is what I can't get through your thick skull. He is the most diabolical moron you've ever met in your life.
Right.
He's an idiot that can overturn the entire justice system.
He sucks his thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, while overturning the justice system, right.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That'll be the narrative, though.
Dude, they said, this is all about the optics. If you think about this in the sense that it's the same as like a protest, like this is an activist trial.
Yeah, right.
These are activist prosecutions, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about the prosecution. It's about the reaction. They win either way. If they win in court,
the action is in the reaction.
That's right. The action is in the reaction. So no matter what, they win.
Yeah, you're right, and that's how. This is how I explain, at least how I think about the elites and their power control methods, is through the improv lens, which I think you demonstrated there. Is there are no wrong answers. You can go with whatever the outcome is if you're flexible in the way that you react to them. And of course, they plan the reactions. They attempt to anyway, with their Saul Alinsky type of. And whenever you see any of these protests going on anywhere, regardless of what the protest is for, and you see all the people clashing and everything. Just remember what Saul Alinsky teaches. The action is in the reaction. So the goal is to cause the reaction. So now in modern times, it can be captured on camera by all the people who are placed there to capture it and then given to the friendly newspaper that will blast it all over their headlines. And that's how people try and get what they want in modern America.
Which is why I've been laughing at, we were talking about Alex Stein, why I've been laughing at clips of him just messing with Antifa and all of the protesters. It's very interesting because that's what he's doing. He's using the same principle, and right. I think there are some people who are on that side who've read Saul Alinsky and gone, well, I can do this too.
Yeah, I think we live in a world of warring grifters. That's where we are right now.
The left is still, they definitely are better at it because they never give up.
Never give up. Never forget. Never give up and never forget. So, speaking of the trials, the Stormy Daniels trial, this is on the headlines again today because Stormy Daniels took to the stand again, or she hit the main stage again. I don't know what happened. The gavel it disappeared. Nobody has any idea where it went. I think she swallowed it up with her, I'm not even going to say, I think everybody knows with her what. But for some reason, a witness whose testimony is completely irrelevant to the actual charges in this case, but 150% relevant to the media narrative about it being a hush money trial, was on the stand again today. Isn't that interesting? You have these networks saying, it's funny because they're going, because she was so discredited by the way she behaved during the first day, apparently. And I've seen her do interviews and the way that she was described. You can see the disappointment when some of these anchors on MSNBC and CNN were talking about her. It was like, oh, gosh, she just hurt her credibility. And I'm like, well,
they had time to collect themselves.
Right.
They had time to figure it out.
Yeah. How do we reorganize this and reframe it? And so they even said, well, it's not about whether or not it's true or not, because the defense called into question whether or not her story about Trump was true, because how it's changed and everything. And so now the narrative is, even if everything that Stormy Daniels says, even if they discredit her and say that what she says isn't true, even if she did, because the defense was pointing out, didn't you make $1 million based on this, that, and this because of what you were making these claims on? Didn't you have this book deal? They were pointing out that Stormy Daniels is, in fact, a very good grifter and has been for a long time. Didn't you go do a tour at strip clubs across America on, what was it, Make America Sexy Again or something like that? I have clips of one of these guys saying that. And because I pointed all of this stuff out when she was doing it. I was like, Stormy Daniels is just seizing an opportunity many other people. Maybe they banked, I don't know, but maybe they did. It doesn't matter. But they're right, it doesn't matter. But it mattered until now, though. everything about the hush money was about the sex. And now they're saying it's not about the sex, and it doesn't even matter that Stormy's on the stand because it's about the doctoring of business records. And CNN even said at one point that even if they didn't sleep together, and that she is a liar, that's not what the case is about. The case is about that Trump doctored his ledger about what a business expense was about.
Right.
Then why is Stormy Daniels on the stand? Because this is about the propaganda.
Right. It's about a sexy, sexy story. And we need a sexy story right now. I don't know if you've noticed how depressed America is, but we need some sexy courtroom drama.
All right. Well, yeah. So, and Forrest Mommy just said that she saw Stormy Daniels in 2010. So here's what I'm going to do. Ian, I know you got to be out here by a certain time, but I'm going to send you a link for us, Mommy. And maybe if you're available and we can get you in here in time to tell us about what it was like to see Stormy Daniels in person. I've never heard of a firsthand experience for Stormy Daniels. Hold on a second. Come tell us about your Stormy experience. There you go. Yeah, so maybe not. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Happy birthday again to Forrest Mommy.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yes. So the Libertarian Convention is coming up. I've talked about that a lot this weekend. It's been the talk of the town because Trump and RFK are both going to be speaking. And RFK challenged Trump yesterday to a debate at the Libertarian Convention, which I don't think Trump has responded yet. Now, today we're learning that Vivek will also be there at the Libertarian Convention. And so the mainstream media focus is going to be completely on this convention. I think it's May 24th to May 26th. And neither Trump, Vivek, or RFK Jr. are going to be in the actual Libertarian presidential debate to choose their nominee. As of now, anyway. So I talked to Joshua Smith, who is the host of Break the Cycle and is a Libertarian presidential candidate on the show last night. And I was curious, are the Libertarian candidates going to disrupt Trump's speech and try and force him into having a conversation with them? And the answer was yes, which I thought it would be. And I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to happen at that. I'm considering going to that now, but I just wanted to put that on people's radar.
Wow. Well, good for him for accepting that. Good for both of them for accepting that. Biden would never do that. Because he's a
Because he's what?
essay.
Oh, I see. Yeah. He's
I don't want this to get banned again.
So Trump does a lot of grabbing of him.
Yeah, he grabs him by the essay.
You're right about the ban though. So I already appealed the show a few days ago and they took it off. Put it back. They took it off midstream, put it back on, took it off again, and they have put it back on. But they're definitely amping up the censorship on YouTube leading up to the election. Almost every show we do now gets taken off for at least a few hours after we do it, and I appeal it, and I point out why it's not in violation of anything, and then they put it back.
But you never know when your luck's going to run out with these appeals.
It'll run out eventually. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, Aram says, well, what do we have here? All right, so I did do a Twitter poll on, let's see where the Twitter poll's at. I wanted to know which libertarian, you can only put, when you do a Twitter poll, you can only put 4 possible answers. Because I would have liked to have put all of the candidates on there. But I said, which libertarian candidate for president is most likely to effectively heckle Trump during Trump's speech at the National Convention? Joshua Smith, Toad, Chase Oliver, Michael Rechtenwald. So go over there and vote on that. Right now, Toad is in the lead, Joshua Smith second, Michael Rechtenwald third, and Chase Oliver is in fourth. So go make your voice heard over there at Freedom Act Radio. So I want to show you how CNN's been reporting on today. You talked about the reframe. They were so disappointed yesterday. Today, they've reframed Stormy Daniels.
Oh, wow.
And Stormy Daniels is the most sympathetic character. Hi, JC, is the most sympathetic character you've ever seen in your life. And this is Jim Acosta. It's just a kind of a montage of clips. I don't, no particular order. I'll just let them roll.
We're going over.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
We're going over, Laura, this decision to call Stormy Daniels, strip club tour, the Make America horny again tour.
Oh, make America horny again. See how he said that? See how uncomfortable he was uncomfortable saying that the way a person who watches a lot of Stormy Daniels might say that.
I've never even heard of this word. How do you pronounce this word?
Yeah, well, I mean, watch him. That's how he acts in this entire segment. Like he's got a spare laptop with 100 tabs open of Stormy Daniels movies.
We're going over, Laura, this decision to call Stormy Daniels, strip club tour, the Make America Horny Again tour. I'm searching, and you guys can help me out. I mean, how does this damage Stormy Daniels?
So how does it damage Stormy Daniels?
I can barely say strip club, but how does it? Yeah.
No, because in his mind, it's like, why is that a bad thing? She did the Make America. I was at every Make America Horny Again show. Oh man, it's just so funny. Can you imagine being
Jim Acosta's in some wild?
She comes across.
He's into some weird
wild stuff.
Yeah, he's had a ball gag in his mouth more than a dozen or so times. Probably sleeps with one in there.
Oh yeah, good call.
She comes across as perhaps the most authentic person in this trial.
And I would know. I would know.
Yeah, I've seen her vagina 2 million times at home. Me and Jeffrey Toobin always looking at it.
She looks exactly like she does in her pornos.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've heard.
Yeah, so sources tell me that her pornos are very authentic to her real life self.
Sources tell me I get a boner.
The way he says this cracks me up, dude.
She comes across as perhaps the most authentic person in this trial.
And when the previous witness was David Pecker, I don't think anybody's authentic in this trial. I know it's all trying to be the best show on television. It's trying to get people's attention.
What's so sad about it is, people. I mean, nobody over 55, under 55 is watching this stuff, right? So nobody really is really watching this stuff and taking it seriously. Everyone now is getting their news from the internet, social media. If you're a progressive, I imagine if you're a progressive 20 or 30 something, you probably love David Pakman. Right?
Yeah, you love that faggy stuff.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, David Pakman. Yeah. If you want to see a real I'm smarter than you Democrat, then go watch some David Pakman.
Like if he was a Disney character, he would be a goat constantly chewing grass.
He would be and he'd be immediately the bad guy would take him out first, is what he would do.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's interesting you said that about the audience. The older audience, this might be Stormy's play. She's playing to the boomer audience, who she knows are watching.
Well, they have money,
and because
they're going to buy her. They're going to buy her book.
Right. Yeah, she's going to get a lot of hush money payments here pretty soon.
Yeah, she's going to write a book called Hush Money.
Is this a good job? I mean,
no.
He's asking now if this is good of the prosecution to go after her. The credibility of the witness. That's what they're actually talking about, and that's what every attorney, prosecutor, and defense lawyer does is they go after the credibility of the witness. Again, it's tough because this is an irrelevant witness. Yes.
Is this a good job? I mean, is this a good idea to keep reminding the jury she's a stripper?
Do you notice how he keeps stumbling over talking about her? He's so horny he can't even talk straight.
Listen to him. Do you notice?
Yeah.
They keep saying stripper. Yeah.
Right. Stripper. Like that's what her.
How many times have you said stripper in this segment? How many times have you reminded us she's a stripper, Jim? You've reminded us that she's a stripper every 5 seconds.
Jim's like, she's a porn star, really. Don't call her a stripper.
Yeah.
Is this a good job? I mean, is this a good idea to keep reminding the jury she's a stripper? We know that.
Yeah, we know that. We've seen her.
Yeah, I've seen her strip.
Yeah, we. When I'm talking about we, I mean, me and
I have the videos on my phone. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Infuriates Donald Trump that this woman, who he is essentially trying to slut shame up there, right? Sort of turn her into a nasty woman. He is infuriated by the fact.
Did you hear that? She brought back the old nasty woman bit.
Wow.
Trump's trying to frame her. Yeah.
He didn't say. Has he said anything in this trial, in this courtroom? Has he said one word in this courtroom?
I don't think in the courtroom. He's talked afterwards.
Afterwards, I mean, he's trying to slut shame her. I mean, no, come on, give me a break.
If he were slut shaming her, then he wouldn't have paid her anything.
I love it that these
because she's a prostitute.
This is like when, when they used to interview. Do they still interview professional wrestlers backstage? And
I don't know.
I don't know if they do that. When was it Gene Okerman?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Used to interview wrestlers backstage. This is the kind of wild shit. They would have these crazy points of view. These points of view are insane.
And to me, it's so it's such a forced script. I mean, Acosta can't even deliver how ridiculous this script is.
If one of your friends, if we were hanging out and like one of our friends like brought up the slut shaming thing, what would be everyone who we know? Like, there's a half dozen of us in a room. What would be the immediate reaction to that person if they brought that up?
If we didn't know them very well, I think it would get real quiet, and we'd all kind of stifle what we would say, so not to like hurt their feelings, right? Because there's something wrong with them.
Yep. But if we knew him real well, we'd tell him that was the stupidest take.
So shut up, faggot.
Shut up.
That's what we would say.
Great. Now this just got banned.
That's fine. They continue with it. Like, this woman's good at it because she's BIPOC. She's good at making this argument that it's wrong to slut shame, or not even that it's wrong to, but that by simply having it. So the whole thing they're doing here is Trump's defense lawyers are putting her on the stand to slut shame her, and they're only doing it because you heard the clips the other day we played, because Trump is punching his female attorney in the arm. He's getting physical with her and forcing them to slut shame this prostitute. And she makes this argument.
Creates Donald Trump, that this woman, who he is essentially trying to slut shame up there, right? Sort of turn her into a nasty woman. He is infuriated by the fact that she is up there.
Because he wants to do that.
That's what he wants to do. That is why I think the lawyers, Laura, you would agree with this, the lawyers are sort of doing that as
this is not a nasty woman. This is a professional who does double anal, double vaginal. This is a professional sex worker, okay?
Yeah, you don't slut shame her. She doesn't do that.
Slut shame her. This is the oldest profession, some people call it,
Right.
And I think we should have a little more respect.
She would have rejected that hush money.
Yeah. It's an older profession than being a real estate mogul. I'll tell you that. One who lies about the value of Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, right. Right. It's
why don't you go inject some bleach?
I have a clip about that later, too.
To answer, this was about Daniels being asked whether she had an affair with one of the documentary producers. Getting to your point, that there's some slut shaming.
Yeah, and she cannot be shamed, right? I mean,
they can't help
themselves. She is in the film business, and
they're talking around it, so that it's like people being racist while criticizing racism.
Right, and also
it's sort of this weird tactic that they're doing. Like, they're totally being salacious and exploiting the salaciousness of it. Absolutely, while remaining distanced. We have to do this because we're journalists. We don't want to do this. We just showed up at this murder scene, and we're the experts.
And there wasn't it's not slut shaming to do what every single attorney does during a trial. They're trying to make it like Trump is making his lawyers grab it by the pussy. It's what they're trying to make it when it's just lawyers doing their job like they would do to any other witness, but because it's scrutiny against Stormy Daniels, who's on their side, it's slut shaming.
And she's fine with it. And I think you see Donald Trump, I think he was cursing yesterday, and you can see, I think, that it is his motivation to really shame this woman, and it's not working.
How does she know that? She just made that up. What is motivation?
It's not working.
How do you want to be addressed? She said Stormy Daniels. That she owned it from the very inception of the direct examination.
It's a whole straw man argument they created.
This is just a more boring version of The View.
Right, and there's 6 people on this panel discussion about this right here, who are all watching Jim Acosta get real horny over over Stormy Daniels. Well, so we have a guest for us, Mommy. Welcome.
I'll hop on and tell you the story. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, let us know. So you saw Stormy in 2010.
Yeah, it's either 2009 December. I think it might have been 2009 December. It was me and my guys. It was actually our first date. We went to the strip club. It's the first time I ever been at the strip club. It was the Diamond Cabaret in Denver, Colorado. It's like one of the downtown ones.
That was your first strip club experience, and you saw Stormy.
Yeah. So like I was getting this all in, and then we're sitting there, and I just remember throughout the whole night, the strip club announcer voices, and they were like, they had the strippers up, and they're like, "But don't go, wait for our feature, Stormy Daniels." So I heard him say Stormy Daniels like probably 50 times that night, and then she finally came out. And like we didn't know who she was or anything, and this was then, and yeah. So then her and her big old honkers came on out and had a little thing, and then she must have been a pretty famous porn star at that point. I don't know.
She allegedly already had sex with Trump at that point.
Yeah, so then they had a thing set up where people could go like hold their boobs and take pictures. I didn't do that.
People could pay to go slut shame her over there.
But she was very slutty that night, which is fine. But yeah. Anyways, that's just my story. It's not that special. But
that's really cool.
Wow.
Go ahead, Ian.
No, I said wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Were you looking up at your Stormy Daniels poster above you, Ian? I saw you looking upward.
Yeah, no, I have several. That's where I put all my Stormy Daniels posters on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And every article now he clips out and puts up there and everything.
Yeah, every one of them.
I had never heard of Stormy Daniels.
Show me your browser, dude.
No. I mean, I'd heard of porn. I'd seen lots of porn. That's why I was surprised I had never heard of Stormy.
Yeah, how did I not know about Stormy?
This one,
I know every porn star.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
interesting.
I wanted to pop in and tell you that.
I appreciate you jumping. Happy birthday, by the way. You can stick around if you want, but I know you might be tired from your birthday and you guys were hanging out last night.
Yesterday we did like a marathon stream last night.
I loved your stream. So. It made me laugh.
Thank you. You did a big donation too. Thank you.
Awesome. I loved it. It's great. Thank you. And keep killing it.
Thanks, guys. I'll still be watching you. Bye-bye.
Right, see you later.
Yeah.
That was cool. Cool. Yeah, go check out Forest Mommy. She's awesome. Fights for liberty, fun on the internet, and just super cool person. Okay, so I just I love how uncomfortable they get about that, and we going from one uncomfortable story to another story that made a lot of people uncomfortable. And I think is one of the funniest stories of our lifetime, personally. This is a story that I told our mutual friend whose wedding we were in. I asked him if he knew about it, and he had never heard about it and was shocked when I first told him about it. And this is the Jeffrey Toobin story. Everybody.
Oh, yes. Wow. This one got siloed for sure.
Right. And then he came back. He was off of CNN for a little while. I'm sure everybody knows, but Jeffrey Toobin, he was masturbating on a Zoom call, and he lost his job at the New York, some publication, not the New York Times that he wrote for. I can't remember which one it was, but then he was also off of CNN for a little while, but CNN welcomed him back. There's a headline today, and this is another case of news that I've been reporting for 3 years that finally at least one mainstream publication has paid attention to. I probably told you this, Ian. Headline here from the New York Post: CNN legal analyst caught Zoom masturbator Jeffrey Toobin once offered cash to abort his son after impregnating his co-worker's daughter. This is a story. This happened in 2008. And I pointed it out when this Zoom thing came out because everybody who was on Jeffrey Toobin's side was like, oh, no, it was such a nice guy. I'm like, no, maybe he's actually not a nice guy, and maybe he shouldn't be talking about abortion law and sexual scandals as a chief legal analyst, which he was before, and then they brought him back after to continue doing, because this is the shit he's always done. And people say, oh, it was an accident about his... I'm of the opinion that it probably wasn't an accident that his Zoom camera was pointed at his penis. That probably he said, you know what? I'm going to intentionally point it at my dick and show it to them as an offering that perhaps one of them will take me up on it. That's what I think he was probably... It's like the equivalent of a dick pic, but video style and live. Jeez. It was a live dick pic is what it was, I think. And he didn't have any takers. And so this story, which I'm going to show you an article from 2010 that actually gives the details of this story. I could only find in the Wayback Machine. That is like crazy. The type of person that this dude is. He's a piece of shit, And that's probably what they ask you when you go to get a job.
I loved when they had him back on for the first time.
I got the clips of that.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. That was so funny.
Dude, so I didn't see that. Like I came across that the other day.
Funny.
I can't believe I missed it. And I cut some clips because it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
So funny.
We're about to watch it. I'm glad you brought that up.
Good.
So here's this is from the Daily News, the New York Daily News from, that's not 2023. This article is actually from back in 2010 originally when they first started writing it. But the website's gone now. But what they write in this is they say, in 2008, when Greenfield, this is the woman that he got pregnant, who was 25 at the time, and he was, I think, around 60 maybe. When she told Toobin the news about the pregnancy, he offered her money if she'd have an abortion. He also allegedly offered to pay for her to have another child via sperm donor later, which I think that's an interesting aspect of the story. Look, just get rid of this baby, and I'll give you a little sperm you can take with you for the road.
Yeah.
Little sperm trade.
Yeah.
Hey, look, can you get rid of this baby? I have a vial for you. You can use it anytime.
I got all these vials.
Just use any of these vials.
I got this one's from January.
You just wait 5 years.
Yeah.
It's not mine. Put the vial up in there. Let the vial grab you by the pussy, if you will. Maybe. So.
Yeah. I mean, this is all quality sperm.
This is great sperm. You can have it. You look, taste it. I taste it all the time.
Here you go.
Yeah. Don Lemon, come in here. Tell her how good that sperm tastes.
Like I'm freezing again.
Oh, you're good. Oh, yeah. You're freezing. You're freezing as you're spurring your improv sperm in a bowl.
You see that object work? That object
great
work
object
classic.
Work.
All right, I'm going to leave.
Yeah, hop out and come back in, and then I'll finish telling you the Jeffrey Toobin story. I'll keep telling you the Jeffrey Toobin story. So it says, on the day that she gave birth, Greenfield emailed Toobin inviting him to meet his son. His son's name was Rory. Toobin did not reply. Toobin ultimately then he cooperated after he did not cooperate initially with doing a DNA test, which she asked him to do it. He wouldn't do it, but then she had the court compel him to do it, and then it found out it was his dad, and then he then had to have his wages threatened to be garnished. That's actually what compelled him to do the DNA test. So he was like a guy who was on Maury Povich, who was running from the fact that he was the person's dad, and this was his former boss at CNN. So the guy his daughter he got pregnant worked at CNN. So CNN knew about this. They knew about it, and despite knowing about it, and despite this Toobin whack off on Zoom, they brought him back as their chief legal analyst on sexual matters, which they bring him on to speak about all the time. So I think they probably bring people back like that because of the controllability, because they're so compromised. I mean, why would it take so long for a story like this to come out? I mean, the story has been known for 15 years, but only last week did one finally bring it up in the mainstream. And so I want to play the clips. I'm going to give Ian a second to try and get back in here, but I just came across Toobin's interview when he first was welcomed back to CNN. Knowing what we know now about a little bit about his past, I want to revisit these clips of when he first came back to CNN just to show the type of person that they continue to employ as their chief legal analyst on things like Stormy Daniels. He actually just interviewed Stormy Daniels for CNN on things like abortion law. I mean, he is their expert on abortion law. This guy is. They don't ever disclose this information, though. Let me get this video up here. Hold on one second. Ian, if you're listening, I'm stalling to try and get you back if you can make it back. If not, I get the technical issues. It happens to us all the time. But we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the Toobin clips. There he is right there. Nautilus, you say you're being patient over there on Rockfin. Thank you, but patience for... I'm not sure what. All right, here's Toobin. I feel very sorry for the woman who had to do this interview. If you've never seen this interview, it's kind of crazy because they had to bring Toobin on, so they knew they wanted to bring him back, but they couldn't bring him back officially until they had him tell their audience address why he was gone and kind of own up to what he did. And that's what this is. And they have this journalist. Her name is, I say journalist, she's a propagandist, Allison Camaroto. You'll recognize her. Who got chosen to do this? I mean, can you imagine being the one who has to bring Jeffrey Toobin back? They must have drawn straws. Here's the first clip. Look how uncomfortable they are off the bat. They both know they're about to start talking about him jerking off on Zoom in front of his coworkers, which were all females. And you can see the weird tension in the room right off the bat. I'm sorry to keep stopping it. I'm pausing it because I want those who are watching, look over her left shoulder at that guy in the background because he knows what's going on. That's probably the first time he's seen Toobin in the CNN headquarters since then. And he's just kind of looking over like, oh, shit. Oh, there's no sound on this? Are you guys hearing no sound on this clip? All right, hold on. Let me make sure. Shit. Can I get a confirmation that there's no sound on this clip from some of you guys? Yeah, no sound. All right. Let's see what's going on. It's fucked up, dude. There should be sound. What about now? Can you guys hear it now? Probably not. I'm going to guess not. I don't understand these platforms. You do the same thing you do the day before, and then sometimes it doesn't work. I'm going to try it a different way. My apologies for the delay. Here's the Toobin clips. All right. Y'all should be able to hear this.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, indeed.
I feel like we should address what's happened in the months since we've seen you, since some of our viewers may not know what has happened. So I guess I'll recap. I'll do the honors.
Look how uncomfortable she is. You can't hear that, right? I'm assuming you guys can hear it this time.
So I guess I'll recap. I'll do the honors.
Help yourself.
Okay. In October, you were on a Zoom call with your colleagues from the New Yorker magazine. Everyone took a break for several minutes, during which time you were caught masturbating on camera. You were subsequently fired from that job after 27 years of working there. And you, since then, have been on leave from CNN.
I just want to take that back and just listen and watch it again just to see the uncomfortableness. I feel sorry for this woman. Maybe she volunteered for this. Maybe you got some sort of bonus. Maybe you got to watch Jeffrey Toobin masturbate in person if you took this job up.
Break for several minutes, during which time you...
Sorry.
So, I guess I'll recap. I'll do the honors.
Help yourself.
Okay. In October, you were on a Zoom call with your colleagues from the New Yorker magazine. Everyone took a break for several minutes, during which time you were caught masturbating on camera. You were subsequently fired from that job after 27 years of working there. And you, since then, have been on leave from CNN. Do I have all that right?
You got it all right. Sad to say.
Okay, so
like you're at work and your boss says, hey, honey, come into the office here. That's probably how they talk to me. Hey, babe, come on. Sit down. We need you to welcome Jeffrey Toobin back and address his masturbation, his public masturbation. Can you imagine that? Talk about feeling sexually harassed at work. I would love to see the conversation that got her to the desk during this interaction.
let's start there.
Okay.
To quote Jay Leno, what the hell were you thinking?
Well, obviously, I wasn't thinking very well or very much.
No, it's masturbating. It's hard to think and
It was something that was inexplicable to me. I think one point, I wouldn't exactly say in my defense.
Look at it. So when he says, I think one point, he's reaching his hands over, I would like to see the wide shot. You know she's leaning back. She does not want his hands touching her.
thinking very well or very much, and it was something that was inexplicable to me. I think one point, I wouldn't exactly say in my defense, because nothing is really in my defense. I didn't think I was on the call. I didn't think other people could see me.
I don't believe that. I actually don't believe that, because I think he's a piece of shit. The argument which he's made that he pointed his camera down. So his laptop was pointed at his penis. They didn't catch him masturbating because they recognized the expression on his face. He took the top of his laptop and he pointed it down. Now you could argue, oh, I'm gonna whack off. I don't want them to see my O face, my Toobin face. But which would you rather them see? Your dick or your Toobin face? I think it was like a power play, and like I said a moment ago, I think he was trying to send a live video dick pic. Look at the takers.
You thought that you had turned off your camera?
Correct. I thought that I had turned off the Zoom call.
Yeah,
have
bullshit.
you ever thought about what it must have been like to be on the receiving end of that Zoom call?
Well, I haven't just thought about it. I've spoken to several of my former colleagues at The New Yorker about it.
I haven't just thought about it. I've masturbated about it. This guy's an asshole.
About what it must have been like to be on the receiving end of that Zoom call?
Well, I haven't just thought about it. I've spoken to several of my former colleagues at The New Yorker about it, and they were shocked and appalled.
He spoke to them about it during the Zoom call. What, he got shocked and appalled about this? What's the problem? Forrest mommy says he totally knew what he was doing, exhibitionist. That's what I think too. Stella says asking him what he was thinking was very brave and yet stupid question. It is an odd question. What were you thinking? I think it's a prompt to try and give him a defense, which they have to. You're about to bring a guy back onto your network who jerked off on camera in front of female coworkers. You got to try and rationalize that shit somehow.
And I'm sorry to the people who read my work and who watched me on CNN and who thought I was a better person than this.
Sorry.
And so, I got a lot to rebuild, but I feel very privileged and very lucky that I'm going to be able to try to do that.
So so we talk about like white privilege and stuff like that. Now, this is real privilege right here, white or whatever, but the ability to jerk off in front of your coworkers who are all female and then be welcomed back as the chief legal analyst, not even a year later, to talk about other political enemies' sexual problems or allegations. That is true privilege. Not many people can jerk off at work, get caught, and then be welcomed back to their job.
I mean, one of the ironies of this whole incident is that for decades you have covered the bad judgment and sexual proclivities of public figures and politicians like Bill Clinton and Anthony Weiner and Elliot Spitzer and Donald Trump, and I could go on. And so, of course it begs the question, why didn't you have better judgment?
Because I didn't have better judgment. Because I'm a flawed human being who makes mistakes. And
Wait, what did he say there? Because he made some mistakes. I love it when people say that. I love it when people who do ridiculous things say, I'm human, I make mistakes. Like who among us hasn't been caught masturbating during a Zoom call? It's just a human thing.
And there is no defense for my conduct. The only issue.
Sorry, I want to take that back. I think I went a little far.
You have covered the bad judgment and sexual proclivities of public figures and politicians like Bill Clinton and Anthony Weiner and Elliot Spitzer and Donald Trump, and I could go on. And so, of course it begs the question, why didn't you have better judgment?
Because I didn't have better judgment. Because I'm a flawed human being who makes mistakes. And
just a human.
there is no defense for my conduct. The only issue is what should be the consequences. And The New Yorker made one decision about the consequences. CNN made a different decision, fortunately, for which I'm very grateful.
So I love that they have him being the chief legal analyst of his own masturbation situation. It's not a matter of whether something the criminal did something wrong, the defendant. It's a matter of what the consequences are.
CNN made a different decision, fortunately, for which I'm very grateful.
Yeah, he's very grateful that CNN was able to overlook the Zoom jerk-off, and he continues to talk about that.
So you're saying there will be no surprises after this that will come out?
Oh, yeah, so maybe he said this in this previous clip and I missed it, but yeah, no, he thinks in New Yorker that their punishment was too harsh. That was too harsh. Do you guys agree? That getting fired from a publication for publicly masturbating at work, that is too harsh of a punishment. That is literally something that almost no one else in the country could do. Probably maybe 2 dozen or so people in the country, most of them working at CNN and other networks like this, and people in politics, could get away with this, have the public find out about it, and then keep their job. Everybody else would get fired like he did. But he thinks it's harsh that he got fired for jerking off at work in front of female employee coworkers. It's too harsh of a punishment. It's not like he shot it all over them or anything. They didn't have to walk away with sticky hair. So what's the fucking problem? All he did was let them watch him pull his penis. It should have been their fucking honor, is what Jeffrey Toobin is probably thinking. They should be paying me for this OnlyFans experience for free that I'm giving these bitches. Maybe he was testing his OnlyFans. They fired me. Have they seen my dick, Jeffrey Toobin's thinking.
There are no surprises out there about my conduct. That I am worried that there is there's a skeleton that's going to be found. Look
at his expression there. So she had asked him about whether or not an investigation would turn up any other problems in his past, which I just told you about one of them, and CNN knows about it and they've ignored it, which is the one where his former boss, former CNN worker, who he fucked her daughter, got her pregnant, then tried to pressure her into aborting it in multiple different ways and refused to acknowledge that the baby was his until he was compelled to take a DNA test or paternity test by the courts. So they know that, but they act here as though, oh, nothing's going to turn up. Because CNN's not going to be looking for anything. Because these are controllable people, and these are the same type of people that not only fill the seats at CNN and MSNBC and Fox and all these other networks, same people that are in the halls of Congress, all over the hidden videotapes inside those walls, probably most of them directed by Lindsey Graham, but that definitely exist because we've seen multiple stories of these hidden cameras and gay sex and the blackmail, stories that have just been buried. And if there's 2 stories like that have been buried, there's probably thousands of them and no telling how much hidden. This is the type of person that they want. And that's why I wanted to bring this up. This is politics. Maybe there's a few people who can rise to power and gain that influence somehow, some way, without being infected by the intelligence agencies who will compromise you and find a way to control you. I mean, you can read about it in their manuals. The way they create double spies, just apply that to politicians. They do it around sex. They do it around greed. They do it around debt. They do it around, they feel like their family's in danger, some messed up stuff. And here you have Jeffrey Toobin, who is the perfect deep state operator, jerking off and being welcomed back, and the network helping him cover up at the time the fact that there was actual other even worse bullshit about him that was already publicly available information.
The skeleton that's going to be found. I live in the world. I know social media, what the reactions are likely to be. I hope they will be at least mixed. But
well, he hopes they'd be mixed. Is he that full of shit, do you guys think? Or is he just that out of touch? He hopes that the reactions to him chalking his pool cue 2 female employees on Zoom and then being brought back to the network to be a chief legal analyst about sexual cases. He hopes that there will be a debate. Well, maybe it's good that they bring it back. Like the regular people in the world won't see any problem with that. No, that's not the case. The people don't know about it. And this is what I brought up to Ian a moment ago. Our friend who had never seen any of the coverage of this, I asked him about this like a year ago. You know about Jeffrey Toobin? He had no idea. So no, it's not mixed. It's some people have heard about it, and then the people who are watching mostly have no clue about it.
And so people can claim what they want, but I don't think there is any anything further.
Listen how this asshole says that. Look, people can claim what they want about me fucking jerking off in front of my hot female employees I'd like to have sex with, but I didn't jizz on them. So I mean, they can say what they want. I have integrity. He says it like that.
Claim what they want, but I don't think there is any anything further that's going to come out.
He needs his ass whipped, is what this guy needs.
I loved the New Yorker. I loved working there.
I'm not advocating that, by the way, verbally. I shouldn't say that. I actually don't want anybody to get hurt, but this is somebody who needs to, he thinks he's better than people. You can tell the way he talks. He's lived in such a tower above others, and he looks down on people. Nobody needs to hurt him. I take that back. But he needs to actually be face-to-face with people who recognize how full of shit he is. But I don't know that that will ever happen.
Very good contributor to that magazine for a very long time. And I thought this punishment was excessive. But look, you know, that's why
that's what it was.
Ask the criminal to be the
So that's when he admitted it was excessive. I'm sorry, I keep talking through this. This thing just makes me mad. This guy is such a highbrow piece of trash.
Anything further that's going to come out.
Here he is.
I loved the New Yorker. I loved working there. I felt like I was a very good contributor to that magazine for a very long time. And I thought this punishment was excessive. But look, you know, that's why they don't ask the criminal to be the judge in his own case. I mean,
I love he admits he's the criminal in this comparison.
I thought it was an excessive punishment. I am incredibly grateful to CNN for taking me back.
Of course, because of course the CNN taking you back. Just like thinking about his perspective, can you imagine you get caught? Not that any of you would be masturbating on a Zoom call, you know, unless it was a prearranged deal. I don't care what you do in your spare time. Can you imagine you get caught doing what he got caught doing, and then your boss comes to you? Hey, Jeffrey, can you come into the office? I need to talk to you. And he's surprised. He's like, oh yeah, what's going on? What's up? And the boss says, Jeffrey, we have about 6 or 7 women out there who say that you pulled out your penis and you started tugging on it during during the Zoom call, and you pointed your camera at it. We have to let you go. And then Toobin's like, wait, what? You're mad about that? You guys are mad? I had no idea anybody would be upset about that. Are you really going to do? I mean, that he's taken the attitude that he's surprised that anybody was even bothered by it. And I bet that's how it actually was. I bet he was actually surprised anybody cared.
Well, Jeffrey, on that note,
this is the best right here.
Should we move on to the news?
Sure, let's go.
Yeah, look at this kid. Watch him shake his head, and watch how awkward this poor woman is here. So they're transitioning from let's talk about Jeffrey Toobin's masturbating to let's work him back into the news, and this is the best they could do.
For taking me back?
Well, Jeffrey, on that note, should we move on to the news?
Sure, let's go.
Look at him. Look at it.
Let's do that. California. You heard me talking about that the judge compared the use of the AR-15 to...
So there you go. They just immediately try to just change things up from that to talking about a California assault ban, weapons ban. And that's how stupid they think people are. And this is the final clip I'll play of this. She is baiting him, Stella. I think she had to. I think they had to try and make it look like they were pushing back on him because they were about to welcome him back on as their chief legal analyst, right? So this is the wrapping up of this segment here, which is also funny.
Jeffrey, many of us have really missed having your legal analysis to guide us on our programs. So let me be the first to welcome you back.
Well, thank you, Allison. It is good to be back, and I hope to be a better person off camera as well as on camera.
Well, it sounds like you have some work to do and are doing the work, and it's been really nice to see you.
I'm trying. Thanks.
He's trying. So he hopes to. He's trying to be a better person off camera. So he's walking around the office. He sees all these women. He's trying not to masturbate while walking around the office. He knows he doesn't understand why it's a fireable offense somewhere else. He just understands that it is. And so he's cutting back on his public masturbation when he comes across a woman that he's attracted to in public. He's trying. He's a human. And Stella brings up a good question. Why did this chick get the... Let me take that off the screen. Why did she get the task of doing this? They should have made him do it. Yeah, they should have. They should have made him sit up there by himself. But I think the reason they had her do it is because they needed it to be a woman, and they needed it to look like the people he did it to, that demographic was welcoming him back. If he was by himself, then there would be no, I'm open-minded to it, which I don't know if anybody was like that, but you have her that, so she could very well have been one of the people on that Zoom call for all we know. They put her there, and so the viewers who fit the demographic are watching going, well, if she can welcome him back and she's asking him the tough questions and there are no other skeletons in the closet, like he got his boss's daughter pregnant and tried to threaten her to having an abortion, then we also welcome him back. So that they were trying to use her as the on-ramp. I just love how he never really admitted that he did something that wrong. It was kind of like, well, I don't get why it's wrong. I've been jerking off in front of women who didn't ask for it for a long time. This is Jeffrey Toobin's, what I'm assuming he was thinking. So I don't know why now people are mad about it. And I guarantee you this isn't the first time he's done this. There's no doubt in my mind. Remember when Louis C.K. had his story where he pulled his penis out in front of a other comedian, and I guess started playing with himself, and he was kind of canceled for like a few years. He should have applied for a job as CNN's chief legal analyst during that time. They would have hired him right away. What are you doing? Oh, my dog's making a weird noise over there. Okay. A few more stories and we will get out of here. I think Ian lost his connection. He's trying to figure out his technology, so we'll bring... yeah, Ian, don't worry about it if you can't get it back. We'll jump on next week and do a show because I think we're about to get out of here. But I wanted to go through a couple more stories. I don't know what the... the relevance of the story is going to be yet. I think because they've been seeding a lot of stories like this one lately, where this just came out a few hours ago. Target to pull LGBT themed items from some stores during Pride Month. This is according to Bloomberg News, and that just in the headline seems kind of like, wow, what, like Target hates gay people or whatever, not gay, LGBTQ people. They hate them because they're getting rid of them during their month. And the article says that Target are getting rid of the merchandise in some of its stores in Pride Month after a backlash hit sales last year, or hit the sales retailer last year. They plan to offer the full assortment of merchandise online, but is examining store level. So they don't want to, they'll sell the LGBTQ community products, but they don't want them in the store, is what that sounds like. Yeah, they're trying to decide based on the data which physical locations will carry products. So they're doing targeted demographics based on, to put in which stores. So what parts of the country are gay enough to accept a Target full of transgender type clothing offerings? Last year, Target was forced to remove some items from transgender designer Eric Carnell from their brand. I don't know what Eric Carnell is, pointing to an increase in customer-employee confrontations and incidents of Pride merchandise being thrown on the floor. Okay, look, you go to a lot of stores like I can't remember the last time I went to a Target and there wasn't a handful of clothing on the floor. I don't believe that there's people walking around tossing the shit on the floor unless they're doing it for a TikTok video, unless they're like Alex Stein. I don't believe there's any natural occurrences of this happening. I don't think anybody is that angered by it. I mean, it may make you shake your head when you see it, and you may go talk on a show or to other people, but I don't really see too many people going, I can't take this underwear that somebody with a penis and a vagina could fit comfortably in and toss it on the floor. I don't see that being something that is the normal occurrence. Most people just go, well, this is weird. That's all most people do. The stories like this, like we had the MIT story yesterday, the day before, where MIT is getting rid of all their DEI stuff. I think that these companies now, because it's weird that both Target and MIT, who are both like progressive, would be at the forefront of some of this stuff, unless there's some sort of op going on where they're like setting up a backlash. I'm just kind of speculating out loud because there is something weird going on here. This appears to be a coordinated campaign to me for all these stories to kind of be coming out within the same couple of weeks about how the DEI and the transgender promoting and the advertising is failing. I get it when those who point out problems with it, legitimate problems, and who oppose it talk about it, but when the actual ones who adopted it themselves are saying, we're done with it, then I question it. There's no way the Ivy League schools are suddenly going to wake up. There's no way Chris Cuomo, who was in his basement in the Hamptons, riding his bicycle, fighting with people during COVID while pretending to be quarantined in his basement. One of the biggest COVID liars, along with his brother, is now on the podcast circuit talking about how, yeah, I'm taking ivermectin right now. He says that's not my mic because it's irritating for people who knew that it was bullshit, which all of you did, to see Chris Cuomo saying that he is now taking ivermectin for his, quote, long COVID, which he even admits may or may not be vaccine related, or maybe it's all made up. But his narrative that he's spreading is that the people who said back then, yeah, ivermectin is fine. Like, I never said ivermectin's a cure for anything. I just pointed out that alternative doctors suggest this ivermectin, and that ivermectin is on this list of some of the best medicine of the last 100 years that helps human beings for a variety of things. And that there's nothing, I mean, it's like one of the least dangerous medicines that exist. And then I can't get a prescription for ivermectin filled when I got COVID. I couldn't. I had COVID for 2 weeks. I had one case of it. So, it's weird. It was kind of like the flu, but a little different. It sucked. I was fine. But I got a prescription for ivermectin, and I could not get it filled because people like Chris Cuomo called it horse medicine. And now Chris Cuomo is on a podcast. He's a podcaster now. And this is what I'm talking about. These groups, like MIT, like Target, like Chris Cuomo, who are the mainstream, who are the ones that were leading the way in the COVID and the trans bullshit. I don't mean that if you're people who are actually trans. I just mean what they're trying to push on people with the sports and everything else. The leaders in this culture war on that side now pretending to be on the opposite side of it. This is obviously a psyop. I don't think people who got the vaccine and wish they hadn't got it, or got it because they felt pressured to, or because they didn't want to lose their job, or whatever reason. I don't hold anything against anybody like that. And people who got it and maybe even advocated for it and have done more research and are now saying maybe it affected them, I wish I hadn't got it. I don't hold anything against them. I don't like the whole vaccine thing. To me is weird. I know it's such a divisive thing. I always said to people, here's the information I know about it. And I read through the Pfizer documents from day one. They're not allowing this group of people in the study. Yet the same group of people they're not allowing into the study because of the risk to their health are the first ones that they are insisting must have it when they're rolling it out. That to me is suspicious. especially when they're old people. I mean, that's just one of many, many things. And I understand the pressures around it. The propaganda campaign is just overwhelming for people. You know, it's hard to resist that type of thing. But when you're one of the people, like, so I can forgive, like, I'm not forgiving. I wanted the fucking thing to work, okay? I wanted it to work. Who wouldn't want it to work? Like, I wanted it to work. Just because I didn't get it doesn't mean I didn't want it to work. I wanted it to work because people I cared about got it. Which pisses me off even more when I see someone like Chris Cuomo pretending that he wasn't one of the fucking people knowingly propagating some bullshit while pretending up at his house in the Hamptons. Act like he's one of us now. He can go fuck himself. This is bullshit. This is how they co-opt audiences. This is Bolshevik organizing principles. You fire a couple people, they go out into the independent media world, and now we have Chris Cuomo pretending, you know, to just be by himself in his house trying to make it as a podcaster. Not buying it. I know a lot of people might not like this, but I don't really buy it with Tucker either. And that's not to say that what they say isn't sometimes correct. Propagandists have to say things that are true because you can't lie to people until they think you say true things enough to where they don't have to really scrutinize it like all the time. So like Tucker, it's not even the person. This is why I always kind of stick to the principle of, I know I'm rambling a bit, but for me, it's the opposite of what they try and tell you must do with the media literacy and all this shit we see about fighting disinformation. They say you need to trust this news source and that news source and this has this. No, you don't need to do any of that if you're actually wanting to get to the truth. You don't even connect it to the source at all, in my opinion. You evaluate the information they're giving you, knowing that there's going to be more context to it that you can go discover, and then you judge things based on the information, not based on what they try to condition you to believe about the sources. Because all that is an attempt to subvert your critical thinking and lock you in to certain sources that you stop questioning because they've built a level of trust. That's the way I think about all of that. Totally. Yeah, ivermectin is likely part of a depopulation. What do you mean by that, Aaron? He says, Tim Truth has done a number of videos of the dangers of ivermectin based upon studies used in developing countries and its associations with the same groups pushing medical tyranny. So I don't know about that. If that's true, that's valuable information. I'd love to read about that. If you can send me a link. I never took ivermectin. I just know that it wasn't horse medicine. It was also used on people, but it could very well. There could be side effects to it that they didn't tell us about. Yeah. So thinking about what you say there, one of the ways I always thought about it, this is a real dark way to think about it. So I don't get real dark about it. So sometimes I don't realize, even though I don't want anybody to feel dark about it, but like if I were trying to eliminate, because some people think it's part of the depopulation agenda, the COVID vaccine was. I didn't think it was. My belief was that it was an experimentation, that they believe, or they want to believe, that the mRNA technology is their key to their life extension technology. Because they have all these other trials. I've read a lot of stuff they're trying to do with mRNA, a lot of their public research on it. It feels like they really want it to work, and they just need to expedite the amount of studies they can do with mass amounts of people. And that's what I feel like the COVID vaccine was, is you stir up a lot of fear, you get a lot of subjects that are part of this study, and you get a lot of data. We know that Bibi Netanyahu begged, you use my population, use them, we mandate the vaccine, use them. You have all these different types of people you can get this data on. I feel like that's what it was. And they weren't necessarily trying to kill a bunch of people, but they were okay with the side effect being that. That's my opinion of it, because I think if they were actually trying to eliminate people with it, this is what I would do if I were them, is I think they would make a vaccine that works, and I think they would cause just as much stir and division that made all of us who question it identify ourselves as not taking the vaccine, and then I think they would release a virus that the vaccine they gave everybody else protected against, that took everybody who questioned them out. That's how I think these psychopaths would actually do it if they wanted to kill the most problematic people. Maybe they're not smart enough to coordinate that. Hopefully not. Yeah, I'll check that out, Aram. Yeah, I'll watch that, definitely. I mean, that's definitely a tactic. Make it seem like something's forbidden and that they don't want you, and then, yeah. That's why you just always have to research this stuff. It's exhausting to research all of it. Yeah, it's been prescribed billions of times. What Stella says with booga, all side effects. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna read through here. I'll share this on the other chat as well, so you guys can see it. Yeah, I will read this as well. That's interesting. Thank you for that link. And this is what I think is good to do, is to go listen and follow up on people that have information about this, because it's the information, it's not the source. That was my main point overall on all that. Moving on, I didn't mean to get into all that today, but I did want to talk about I've been talking about the USPS, which has been slowed down in Georgia and Virginia. I told you guys about how there was, it won a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, no, Jack. And so this is something that, like, I thought about that too, the Nobel Peace Prize aspect of ivermectin, not to go back. But even that, though, knowing what I know now about Nobel Peace Prizes, it's like, I don't even see the Nobel Peace Prize. While not, I don't know enough about what Aram's saying about that, but the Nobel Peace Prize to me is not something that is a credible badge of honor anymore. It used to be. Now it's like something that they give to people who they want you to see, or they give to. It's just, everything to me is tainted. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because it makes us have to. It makes us have to work harder cognitively and ask more questions, which that can be good, but we can't put it on autopilot is all. And they want us to put it on autopilot. So these absentee ballots in this county in Georgia, there's already been one instance where, because of the delay in mail, all these people who voted absentee during the Georgia presidential primaries, their ballots didn't arrive until like 3 weeks after, even though they were post-dated like 3 weeks before the election happened, and legitimate votes didn't get counted. And we have another story like that in Georgia, where these absentee ballots were, quote, mishandled by the USPS, and they were finally returned to election offices after many delays. This is the Georgia Secretary of State. It's confirmed that ballots that were lost in the mail have now been recovered. The Oglethorpe County Board of Elections reported a number of absentee ballots that voters mailed back in April that never made it to the office in April. The primary election for local and state is scheduled on May 21st, and the board reported the issue to the Secretary of State, and on Monday, both county and state officials confirmed that ballots have now been returned to Oglethorpe County and are being processed. The ballots in question were mishandled by the USPS, leading to a delay, but never left the custody of the Postal Service. So, according to them, where were they? It says the county board has not confirmed the exact number of ballots that were lost, or how long they were missing, or where they were. This is just another problem with the USPS. They say they got these ballots in on time. I'm telling you, this is going to continue to emerge as part of the problem with the 2024 election. The Georgia mail-in ballots. It's already a problem, and it will not be fixed. So it's going to be interesting. It's like they're setting the problem up so they can use it in case they don't like the outcome, which is what they both accuse each other of doing. Everybody accuses each other of doing the same shit. All right. Before Obama tainted it, exactly. Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize, right? What, for bombing children? Isn't that what he won it for? What if I told you Obama won one before he did anything? Yeah, right, exactly. Stella says that nobody yet much is questioning what the parasite killer was effective for COVID. What do you mean, Stella? questioning why a parasite killer was effective for COVID. Yes, right. Yeah, so I know a couple people that took ivermectin that it didn't do anything for them with COVID. So I was never convinced that it was like a solution for it. I just know that I wanted to see if I could get the prescription filled, and no one would fill it because they were afraid to. They were afraid to. They wouldn't do it. I called local pharmacies, and they were terrified. It's like they were disgusted that you even asked. Yeah, the Peace Prize. Yeah. Yeah, it's all Orwellian. Like we read 1984, and the other book. What's the other one called? I can't remember. It's kind of like 1984, more technological and pharmaceutical. We see that, and it's like we think it's like in a dystopian reality that doesn't exist. And then you realize that of course it exists. Of course it's what those people who have the ability to pull the strings would try and do. Brave New World. Thank you, JC. Monocolonial. So yeah, those were the ones that I read a little bit about those. I was trying to help a couple of my friends get on some of those. Did you have an experience with some of those, Nate G? The monocolonial, I don't know how to say it right. The antibodies. I don't know, man. I just wish I knew how to live off of nature 100%. That's like the only reason that not to say that we could solve all our problems with that, but they have the different avenues of ways to cure or help people improve their health. And the pharmaceutical, obviously very profitable, is where all the energy was focused for the mainstream stuff. That makes all the money when all the resources and energy could have been focused on the natural stuff. No COVID, barely fazed me. Yeah, a lot of people it didn't do much. I had it for 2 weeks. My sense of smell has been a little off since, but it wasn't much different than it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever had. That's for sure. So here's a couple. Biden did an interview yesterday. Let's play a little bit of it. Biden sat down with you'll recognize her, the CNN chick.
Has he ever done anything? When has he ever done anything he said?
Can you guys hear this?
Facetious. Think about it.
You might not be able to hear it again. Sorry about that. Nate says you live in the desert, so you get vitamin D. Yeah, vitamin D is another thing. Is people spend so much time in front of their screens. I don't know that they get enough vitamin D. I mean, there's nothing like going out for like just being out in the sun. Like it makes you feel more alive. Zinc helped, says some quack. Yeah, so I've been taking some zinc. I've heard that too. Isn't that interesting how much people learned about being able to take care of yourself simply by recognizing how full of shit the establishment was? I know I did. All right, yeah, here's Biden.
Has he ever done anything he said?
Biden number 5.
I'm not being facetious. Think about it. He started off, he lost, other than Herbert Hoover, he's the only other president who lost more jobs than created in his 4-year term. He's, the way he managed the end of his last year when we were dealing with COVID, 1 million people died. He told people to inject bleach, that may do it.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He keeps saying the inject bleach thing. When it's not true. I've covered this a number of times. There was an actual study going on about a technique, which is now a common technique. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it deals with what Trump was talking about. Trump never said inject bleach. He was talking to a doctor off screen, and you can look it up. I searched his exact words the way he described it. I searched it in Google Scholar, and I found a number of academic studies and trial experimentations that were going on, some of them working with the FDA. Now, I'm not saying that they're credible or good. I'm just saying that these were based on what the FDA was testing at the time that is now a common procedure that Biden continues to say is something that it wasn't. Maybe this is just reflexive for him at this point, but not that you need any more evidence that the media establishment is not the media or not journalists. It's that they allow public figures, mostly Biden now, to say things like this that are provably true when they know what the truth is and they don't stop and correct them ever. They don't care. It is no different than watching. Actually, it is. I was going to say it's no different than watching a soap opera or something, but the soap opera, people realize it's fake, even though they can still be influenced by it culturally. This stuff, there's some people who like believe this, and it creates a false perception of the world, and then they take actions that affect for their lives. They operate their lives based on this false perception of reality that probably leads to many of them dying or alienating themselves from their friends. I mean, the media has blood on their hands. You know, the enemy of the people thing, which they hate, and Trump's not the first person to say it, it's true. The media is an organ of the state. The big media is.
So when you talk about the economy, of course, it is by far the most important issue for voters.
Right, Jack.
It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65.
I'm sorry. Just the way you responded. We've already turned it around. Look, Michigan survey.
You're running out of time to turn that around.
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of the American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along.
The polling data has been wrong all along. That's an interesting comment from him, especially because the Democrats specifically are the ones that really tout. I mean, Trump does too. Everybody touts the polls that favor them, but for him to be saying the polling data is all wrong, you have to be completely brainwashed to be okay with that statement from him, since he's spent all of this time the past 4 years, even before that, with the help of the media, promoting polls that suggested he was in the lead. And he actually just said, look at the Michigan poll. Look at the Michigan poll that says everything's fine, but the polls have been wrong all along. But the Michigan poll's right. The others are not. Polling was created as a tool of propaganda back in the days of like Edward Bernays, and with I think with the help of the Rockefellers, who needed to change the perception that the public had of them after they shot up a bunch of people in an oil mine, I think it was. And so they had John Rockefeller, or John D. Rockefeller, I think it was, go out and they'd take pictures of him dancing with family members of the dead, the people who worked in the mines. It was a campaign where they would go find the people they wanted to ask questions that they knew they could get answers, that they could then present as official representation of the public view. Polls have never been something worth trusting. That's not to say that some polls don't reflect reality. It's just to say polls are bullshit. In the fact that they don't even have polls that they don't even have enough bullshit polls for him to use to where he now is saying the polls are wrong all along. Can you imagine if any other candidate in another party, if Trump or a libertarian or whoever candidate said the polls are wrong all along? Well, Trump, they're not going to pay attention to the libertarian. That would be called dangerous fake news. It's like the equivalent of telling people to inject bleach and good people on both sides saying the polls are wrong. But maybe they're going for the hate watch. I don't know. I just don't know who's buying the shit that they sell anymore.
So obviously we're here in Wisconsin. It was a crucial state for you, one of the ones that put you over the top. It was the same for Trump when he won in 2016, and he was actually here last week on his day off from the Stormy Daniels trial. He told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Mr. President, quote, "If everything's honest, I'd gladly accept the results of the election." And then he continued, though, with this: "If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country." How seriously do you take that threat?
Seriously, just like I did January 6th. The guy.
So JC says, by the way, Joe is whispering like he's talking to a young kid while their parents are in the other room. Yes, as he often does whisper that way. And Jack says, I can see why Elvis shot his TV. It can be very infuriating. She presents the question as he'll accept it if it seems normal, if it seems like it was fair. But if not, then you got to fight for it. So what, in that framing of a question, where is the wrong? It is who wouldn't say if the election seemed fair, I'll accept it. If it didn't, well, you need to question it. You need to challenge it, or however she phrased it. And of course, anybody, they're always going to question and challenge it. But just the way that she phrased the question in very simple terms like that, and a very obvious answer, and yet the response is that that's a dangerous thing. That even if it looks like the election had a problem, if you're still questioning a problematic election, that is what's dangerous. This guy's such a prick.
Take that threat.
Seriously, just like I did January 6th.
What was he going to say? September 11th there? It's almost said September 6th.
Seriously, just like I did January 6th. The guy is not a Democrat with a small d.
He's not a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. I don't know if he has a small d or not. He's not a Democrat.
He is the idea. Look, you can't only love your country when you win. Number one. How many court cases do they have? Supreme Court cases. No. They all said this is totally legitimate election.
That's another lie. I've explained that a million times on the show, says Garland.
This is Trump. I mean, it's saying whether he may not accept the outcome of the election. I promise you he won't.
Promise he won't.
And see how she reacted to that like that was something profound? And he may not accept the outcome of the election? I promise you he won't. And she repeats that back, trying to make it seem like this is a coherent interview.
He may not accept the outcome of the election? I promise you he won't.
Promise that he won't.
He won't.
So
she hates her life right now. When they frame these camera shots, the people on camera are actually closer than they appear on camera. So they look like they're right next to each other anyway. They're even closer than that. It's like objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. And there's no telling how long they had to stand on their marks here to get just this out of Biden. Because this is an edited video. So it jumped from her interviewing him in the chair to them being in this, whatever this technology warehouse is. And it probably took them hours to get this right. And you saw him leaning into her because her hair probably smells too nice for him to be able to contain himself. This was probably a very uncomfortable day on set for her.
Which is dangerous. Look, I travel around the world with other world leaders. You know what they all say? Not a joke. 80% of them after we have a major meeting to go.
What?
My democracy to stay. Their democracy.
Like, what did he even say there? He's trying to say all these world leaders he meets with, as he's sticking his finger in his eyeball, is that they say, look, you got to win because our democracy's at stake if you don't. I think that's what he's trying to say. Let's see.
Look, I travel around the world with other world leaders. You know what they all say? Not a joke. 80% of them after we have a major meeting to go.
A what?
Gotta win. My democracy to stay. Their democracy to stay. Because when you think of the things he's saying, if I'm reelected, if he's reelected the president, he's going to make sure his attorney general prosecutes those he tells them to prosecute. And if he doesn't, he's going to fire on the first. Not just he said this about prosecution across the board. He's going to I am your retribution. What president's ever said anything like this stuff?
Okay. if he's almost touching her. You see his finger, how he's getting his finger closer and closer to her tit there. I mean, that had to be really uncomfortable for her. It's just filled with lies. And you're right. You're right, Nate. Halfway coherent reporter would ask if he will. A halfway reporter will stop him on any of these things and clarify. These aren't fucking reporters. It really is easy to kind of look at them as reporters. They're not. They're not bad reporters. They're good propagandists. That's why I always try to remind myself. Nate says, give him a break. His uncle was cannibalized. There's no telling. Yeah, Biden's got a new story every single fucking day.
Going to make sure
watch his finger get closer to her.
His attorney general prosecutes those he tells them to prosecute. And if he doesn't, he's going to fire
day.
On the first. Not just the first. No. He said this about prosecution across the board. He's going to be, I am your retribution. What president's ever said anything like this stuff? But he means it.
He means it. She's taking him seriously. They ignore the fact that Trump went on CNN with the porcelain doll, Caitlin Collins, during a town hall, and they talked about this whole retribution thing. And Trump said 4 or 5 times, I don't have time for retribution. I don't have any time for retribution. We're going to be fixing this country. We're going to be fixing this country. Will there be retribution? I don't know. I don't know if you can call it retribution. And I don't know that he would do it even if he had an opportunity to. Should there be an investigation? Absolutely. Into Fauci, into the criminalization or the weaponization of the justice system. If they can establish standards, and as long as none of the cases actually go through or work against Trump, then we might be able to avoid the precedent that's set. But that's the thing to really worry about, is if there is any sort of even a conviction on part of the charges against Trump on some of these cases, then what happens is that will be applicable to the rest of us broadly. For any certain set of fact patterns, for until the republic is just till we're completely destroyed, they will be able to use it to anybody who speaks up against them. That's what these cases are about. These cases are actually about our free speech, is what they're really about. Trump happens just to be the person that they're targeting it after. That maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think if they actually convicted Trump, it would probably make his support grow even more. But I just can't what is real in all this? It's just, it would be interesting to get every politician in any country really just in the same room, which they, you'd have to get crowbars in there to prevent them from having gay sex with each other immediately. I'm sure that's what usually happens when in the same room. But if you could stop that and you could just kind of see the way that they behave with each other, there's nothing genuine or authentic about these people except their shared desire for increased power, in my opinion. Not to say there's not some people who get into politics to try and fight them and push back against it. But these motherfuckers are trash, man. And I just think the way we defeat them is just we look at them like that. I think more people are doing that. All those drugs make him a Randy baby, Nate G says. JC says the elites jumped the shark when they exposed the fake White House studio. You're talking about some of the green screen stuff, JC. It's so weird, man. It's crazy. The only reason we even pay attention to them is because they do have the power to do things in Washington that can affect us, but part of that power comes with their ability to control the media and the communication and basically the real estate in our minds. That's why I've always been a big advocate of get out the don't vote. Because to get out the vote, to me, is like validating their system. If nobody voted, then they lose all their power. Of course, you got to figure out what to do next. Okay. All right, one more quick thing. Biden is, God, dude. I just want to be a fly on the wall on some of these things. I've done, being on film sets and stuff as much as I've been, and TV sets, I can just imagine how miserable her day was right there. So I did one of the shortest commercials. I've done a couple commercials that were 15 seconds, one of them I'm thinking about, and then another one I did once. I've done a number of them, but just the two shortest ones I did was 15 seconds and 30 seconds. in the 30-second commercial, both of them actually, it took us 12 to 14 hours to film. I'm just imagining what she had to do. Like there was one that I filmed for ESPN. It's a Roll Tide commercial. Josh, who plays Trump on the show, is also in that commercial, where it just shows a bunch of people who are supposedly Alabama fans. And I had to audition like 3 times for this. And all we say is Roll Tide in different situations, because that's how people communicate with each other. And you are Alabama, Roll Tide, Roll Tide, Roll Tide. They're saying different things with the same words. And my scene was I'm making out with a girl. And then her light flicks on in the house, and we're in the car, and I noticed that. And I'm like, oh, Roll Tide, oh shit, Roll Tide, we're busted. And we had to stay in a position when we were filming that, where both of our faces were right next to each other, because they have to get the lighting right. And they do that in these things too in the news. And they have to get the audio right, so everything's is crisp enough. For 3 hours or so, probably 30 takes, with dozens of people standing around just watching you while you're face to face with this stranger about to make out with them when the director yells action. My point is, that kind of stuff is uncomfortable. I can't imagine what having to do that with Joe Biden, like she just had to do for probably at least 12 hours. Serves her right, actually. Serves her fucking right. Did you hurt your Georgia Tech heart? I have to say, Nate, that moment when I did that commercial, since I hate UGA, I can live through Alabama, and I was able to for many years. A new Tech could never beat Georgia, but Alabama could. Not anymore, though. Not any freaking more. Georgia's just too fucking good, dude. Georgia Tech's a fucking bee sting. What kind of mascot is that? I will sting you and then die. It's the worst mascot. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. All right, let me go through one of these. I like reading through these, and then I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. You guys are cool, man. There's a lot of hate and vitriol on the internet, but you guys are like a breath of fresh air. All right, so which one of these want to do? This is a smoking gun. With the deal, let's look at the top 5. Deal struck in man's salami attack arrest. So somebody made a deal. It's interesting. Female diners beat IHOP worker bloody. Oh, I mean, were the eggs not cooked right? Female jail guards in grope session arrest. That's interesting. Jail for man in pink dildo domestic attack. That one definitely stands out to me right there. Let's get a look at that one real quick. All right, I'm going to put this guy on screen. Hold on. Where the fuck is the... There, all right, sorry. All right, here you go. I'm going to go with the dildo attack. I wonder which state has the most dildo attacks. I mean, I'm going to say Florida just because Florida is the ones I read, but I don't think everybody other country makes their dildo attacks public. I think it's private. Jail for man in pink dildo domestic attack. An ex-con has been convicted of attacking his girlfriend with a pink dildo after she derided him for having a limp dick in need of Viagra, according to court records. That's what I love about court records. Is that you can read stuff like this in court records. Stephen Nurdin pleaded no contest to a domestic battery charge stemming from a confrontation with his 37-year-old victim and ex-girlfriend. This is him right here. I don't know if he looks like a guy who would grab the nearest dildo and attack. Following his arrest, he was in jail for like months for this. For 8 months, he's been in jail for this, probably because he was on parole. He pleaded no contest to the violation, was fined $1,000, and according to the police report, you can actually read the police report. Here it is right here. Yeah, there's the police report, and you can see the dildo fuzzied out there. He intentionally touched or struck his girlfriend against her will. And the defendant, they were arguing about their relationship. This is the actual police report verbatim I'm reading from. And she said he had a limp dick and needed Viagra. The defendant then became upset, went into the bedroom closet and removed a pink dildo from the shelf. The defendant then shoved the dildo in the victim's mouth. God damn it. Oh my God. That's not funny. I'm sorry for laughing at that, but that's not fun. What a prick. This is obviously an unhealthy relationship. They had been in a romantic relationship for 18 months, a year and a half. So that's a hell of a way to break up. How'd you break up with her? Well, I got mad and shoved a dildo in her mouth after she said I had a limp dick. Who's that Pokemon? Nothing like a redacted dildo. Yeah, you got to redact those dildos. The dildo in question here, it is worth knowing is what size dildo this is, because that is going to, like, how forceful he had to be to do that. I would like to hear the president respond to what such an attack like this was, because his son probably has some sort of experience, or his daughter. Let's do one more of these. Actually, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one myself. You guys who are watching live can do it too. I like to do so they have a game on the smokinggun.com that I recommend you guys trying. It is where you can, they show you a mugshot. And I've been arrested before, so I'm not making fun of anybody for being arrested, but they let you try and guess what the offense was based on the mugshot. So I want to find the mugshot game here. Hold on a second. Put this back up on the screen. Any of you guys ever been arrested for whether something legitimate or not legitimate? I guess that depends on what the law is. Obviously. All right, there we go. All right. This is one of those websites, a smoking gun. I used to go on rotten.com all the time. I don't know if rotten.com exists anymore, but it used to be like a really grotesque website like 20 years ago. When I was a kid, I used to love looking at it. We can try maybe salami attack, chicken battery on a sister. That's weird. Forcibly thrown cops handcuff a man who hit an officer with a forcibly thrown cheeseburger. Is there any other kind of like why do you have to? They put forcibly in quotes there. I mean, if you throw a cheeseburger, you forcibly throw a fucking cheeseburger. You would think anyway. Where the fuck is the mugshot game? I want to guess the mugshots. Time waster. Oh, here it is. All right. Photo fun. So you guys see that on screen, right? I'm going to play. Yeah, me too. Me too, Denver. I think that's my number too. 3 times arrested. All right. Match the arrestee with their alleged crime. For today's Friday photo game, I guess it's last Friday, readers must examine 5 mugshots and match up the respective defendants with the crime for which they were arrested. Just click and drag the crimes into the squares beneath each individual, then click the submit row. So I want to point something out for DEI purposes here. Everybody in these mugshots, these 5 mugshots, these are all white people. We have 3 white males. They look like cis male. Well, maybe the one on the far left. I don't know. I can't say they're cis. The one in the middle, the woman in the middle definitely looks like a protester to me. Yeah, this mugshot game would be a kick-ass TV show. Denver, you're right. And the one on the far right, the girl on the far right, looks like she should be on that, featured on that Twitter profile of hot chicks who've been arrested. You know, the ones where Sam Tripoli always retweets and said would. I think she'd fall into that category. Let's see. All right, so the first dude on the left here is like an older looking guy. Looks like he's like mid-60s. looks like he peers into a lot of windows while people don't realize it. The guy next to him looks like he's probably somebody with a short fuse. He's got a tattoo on his neck. And looks to me, and this is before I've looked at any of the crimes, looks to me like he's probably gotten some domestic altercations arrest before. The woman in the middle, as I said, looks like a protester because she's smiling brightly in her photo and wearing all black. Like she got arrested at a Black Lives Matter or Stop Cop City protest or something. The guy next to her looks like a school shooter. And then I told you that chick on the far end looks like a girl who, either stole something or cut someone's penis off. Yeah, spitting on the cop at night. Smiley Karen did the spitting. Oh, you guys are looking at the crime. So the possible crimes are, number 1, throwing cigarette butt on sidewalk. Really? They arrested somebody for that? Yeah, don't do that. You just throw it away. But they arrested somebody for that. The second one is spitting on a cop. The third one is racing on a highway. The fourth one is narcotic sales. And the fifth one is murder. The fifth one is, we have murder, and then we have throwing a cigarette butt on the sidewalk. Like Denver. So Fulton County is one of the places I got arrested, by the way, and it was totally bogus. I mean, it was a judge apologized to me 18 months later. And honestly, I was told this by the police officer, the chief, that it was because I was white. Like the way they did all this shit. It was crazy. And this was like 10 years ago. This is before Fannie Willis filled the Fulton County District Attorney with the Divine Nine Black Illuminati group. Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm going to look at what some of you guys think on here. You have murder as the second guy. So you think the guy with the neck tattoo is murder, JC. The Smiley Karen, some quack you think is spitting. Yeah, I think that might be, I could go with you there. Lady on the right. Or the hot chick. So we got a couple votes. We got a vote for the hot chick and then a vote for the activist older lady. I don't know, man. These are always tough. So I'm going to start with a murderer. Who here looks like a murderer to me? You know, it might be that activist-looking chick in the middle. She might be the actual murderer. But I'm gonna go with the school shooter dude for the murderer. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, that's my pick for the murderer. Racing on the highway, guy on the which guy? So you think the guy that I think is a murderer is racing on the highway? I could see him doing that too. I'm going to go neck tattoo guys racing on the highway, although it could be the chick. I'm going to go with him, though. Smiley killer. This guy's a wild card to me. This old guy. Let's see. Who? All right, I'm going to go with this bitch here throwing a cigarette on the sidewalk because she seems way too happy. Because so does the hot chick. She seems too happy also. You bet all 5 are guilty of DUI. Right. They didn't, yeah, they probably were all drunk. Yeah, the woman in the middle and the woman on the far right are too unconcerned, I think, for the charges to be like too heavy. So I'm going to go with her spitting, although she could be narcotic sales. Because if I wanted to sell some drugs, I'd have a hot chick do it. Not that old guy. Although I don't see him as a fucking cop spitter. I don't know, dude. Fuck it. I'm going to go with her spitting on a cop. Actually, no. I'm going to go him. I'm going to go narcotic sales. Let's see. I got 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. The old guy was the cop spitter. You're right. The guy with the neck tattoo. Who nailed it? Who got that right? The neck tattoo was the racing on the highway. The old lady was, oh wait, no, I'm getting it wrong. I'm confusing mine. Sorry. The old guy was racing on a highway. That's who he was. Yeah, I got those mixed. The guy with the neck tattoo is the one who threw the cigarette butt on the sidewalk. That's what you got that guy for? I can see why he's pissed. Oh my God, the lady that looks like an activist is a narcotic salesperson. That's smart, actually. She's the least person you'd suspect. I got the murder guy right. And then the hot chick is the spitter on the cop. This goes to show you, man, you can't ever really, like, I was way off too. Yeah. Like, if you're going to get people to commit crimes, you want to get people who are the least likely to look like they're going to commit crimes. Like, you want to get someone who's like a nun to go commit the worst crime because nobody's going to suspect them. Interesting. All right, guys. Thanks for having some fun with me today. I appreciate that. I just wanted to play around a little bit. And I'll be back next week, and we'll do it again. We'll have a good time. We will talk to y'all next time. Yeah, the homeless grandpa tossed it. See y'all later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.